Good afternoon, everybody. It is June 26th, 2013, which is astonishing, isn't it? How do we get to this point? My name is Dan Boul. I'm president of 65 Amps in Los Angeles. And I'm coming to you from my desk with my weekly show, Lunch with Dan Boul, which is an odd name because I've never eaten anything on this show. And it's only lunchtime for people on the West Coast of the United States, and half of our audience is in Europe. But anyway, we're here to be guitar nerds, talk about amps, talk about guitars, general world. I usually try to play guitar on this show. I've had a hard time getting that going. I apologize. That will be changing hopefully soon. I think I found a way to do that very quickly. And this is a participatory show. And for those of you watching the recording, there is a chat window here that I'm going to be reading while I talk. So you'll see me a lot of times not looking into the camera, but looking down at the computer screen. It's because I'm trying to speak in complete sentences and read at the same time. So you'll forgive me if I stammer and say a lot. Every once in a while a cuss word will slip off of our lips. So please don't be offended. If you have small children in the room, I'll try to give you a heads up. Sometimes we get into subjects that requires some adult language. And I got lots of notes from guys that actually watch this with their kids, so I felt bad about cussing on the show. I'm not particularly potty mouth guy anyway, so no worries. But as you can tell, I've lost my voice, and I apologize for that if that makes the show hard to listen to. I was traveling to Sweetwater in Fort Wayne, Indiana for the past 2 weeks. Twice I went. And I did their trade show there called Gear Fest. And it's outdoors, and it was extremely hot and humid. And I had to yell over guitar amps for 10 hours a day for 2 days. And it took its toll on me. I was already sick when I went there, and I came back feeling pretty fried. I'm not really sick anymore, other than I'm just absolutely exhausted and ruined, and my voice is trash. So I apologize for that. Steve Kirk says, it probably sounds worse to you than it does to us. Okay, good. Well, I have a really nice Neumann mic here that's probably ameliorating my voice. I have a condenser mic on today so that I don't have to speak loud. Yeah, it's breakfast for most players out here on the West Coast. Brunch, whatever. It's warm and husky. That's what we were talking about before we started the recording, is I have my smooth jazz voice on, which I can say, hey, baby, how have you been? I've been watching you for a long time. I think that you and me need to start making some love together. Bob Dragich asks, is GearFest just for the industry, or is it open to the public? It is open to the public. It is like a public version of the NAMM show. Only it's in Fort Wayne, Indiana, so, they get about 5,000 people a day. But all the big manufacturers are there. It was cool. Going to be 108 today and 118 on the weekend. Chad, come to California. Arizona might be too rough for you. Might be a little bit rough. What part of Arizona are you in, Chad? I forgot. Are you down in Yuma? Driving now. I see. Okay. It's amazing how many guys can watch this in your car while you're driving. That kind of concerns me. Keep your eyes on the road, okay? Yeah, you're in Yuma. That's right. Down with my Aunt Jane. Sorry, I got to keep lots of liquids going to keep my throat talking. I might have to run out and get some more water as we go on. Let's see, I got it. Aha. Alexis Dillon says, hi from Switzerland. Hi, Alexis. You saw Matt the other night? Oh, cool. How's Matt? I haven't talked to him in a long time. This guy knows my cousins in Arizona, so sorry for the personal chat. So anyway, Sweetwater.com is now carrying our stuff, and I've been out there twice in 2 weeks, and they have sold through astonishingly well. I just got my third order in 3 weeks from them last week. They're moving a ton of gear. And the main purpose for going with Sweetwater was they reach out to all the people that can't get to high-end boutique shops. And they have astonishingly good salespeople. I don't know if you're familiar with Sweetwater, but if you buy anything at Sweetwater, you get a salesperson assigned to you. So if you buy a set of strings or buy a $10,000 Martin, they treat you pretty much the same. And he'll call you and follow up and make sure you're happy and get to know you. They usually offer free shipping on things, and they're very good about returns. And but their sales guys are very bright. They have to go to 13 weeks of hardcore training before they can pick up a phone. And I saw the classrooms there. They call it Sweetwater University. And it's literally like going to college. They do 8-9 hours a day of classes. So not only do they learn like what compressors are on the market, they can tell you how it works and make smart recommendations based on your needs, not just, hey dude, it's bitching. They're smart guys over there. They're really sharp. It's very cool. Yes, Sweetwater is carrying everything. Ustreamer 656-440. Yeah, and they customize the catalog with your sales guy on the back when you get it. Yeah. They've got them all, and they're keeping them. Hi, Martin. How are you? Tom, City of Shred. It's hard to say that without saying a cuss word. City of Shred. Yesterday, Danny and I worked on a gorgeous glassy clean using a PRS that has a piezo in the bridge. Dropped the piezo out on his acoustic DI chain and combined it with the producer clean. Fantastic. Wow, thanks, Tom. That's cool. Danny Rader, who plays with Keith Urban, is using a producer. Matt says, really enjoyed the videos you did with Sweetwater. Oh, thank you. Yeah, you know, those were at like 8 o'clock in the morning there, so that was 5 in the morning for me. So if I look really tired, it's because I'm really tired when I did that. I don't know. I looked at him myself, and I look pretty darn droopy. But you get the point, at least. There's more coming up. I shot videos for almost every amp. I think I did 6. So you should see him there. That's very cool. Tom, are you guys out on the road yet? Is Urban touring, or are you guys still just doing rehearsals? No. Our friend from Russia is asking if the high-powered SOs continued. We're just not making it right now. It's sort of on hold. Bob Dragage says, just check the Sweetwater 65 amps listing. 22 separate listings. Very cool. Yeah, they have like each one of our amps. You can get it in a head and a combo, and they have all the cabinet variations and stuff. So, you know, like for Little Elvis, there's 2 listings. What 65 model does Randy Houser's guitar player use? I'm not sure. To be honest with you, I'm not remembering. Ah, you load out of rehearsals in Nashville for the tour on July 14th. Okay. Very cool. So if you guys have any questions, City of Shred here is... Tom, you're doing front of house, right? For Keith Urban? if you want to ask him any questions about that. Morgan Stanley again. Dude, I don't want to buy stock. Yeah, front of house. That's right. So anyway, this phone's annoying. I apologize. So I went and did this trade show in Indiana, and it's very cool. I was very, very impressed with Sweetwater. And the good news was they sold everything. Like we gave them a huge order June 1st, and they sold all of that. We replaced all that gear. They've gone through almost all of it. While I was at the trade show, we went down to, they had everything we make in stock. And by the end of the trade show, there was a Tupelo combo, a Ventura combo, a Ventura head, a London head, a red line 212, and a blue line 112 left. That was it. They sold everything. Ustreamer 656440 says, what combo do you think is best for studio and small gigs? What are you trying to do? What kind of sounds are you looking for? I mean, there's really 3 small combos that we do, and they're all pretty different. There's the Tupelo and Elvis. Tupelo is very American. Elvis is very British. And then there's the Ventura, which is really good vintage American stuff. If you want sort of 50s up through early 60s American stuff, the Ventura is the way to go. What kind of sounds are you going for? Intex cables. Hello. Yes, I made it home. Okay, when you say rock, do you like British kind of sounds or American sounds? You want more Marshall-y, Voxy thing or more Fender-y? Where's your home base? What kind of rock? If you're like the Mike Campbell sort of good crunchy thing, yeah, then the Tupelo or the Ventura is the way to go. Tupelo gets really good American sounds, and then it does that juiced up American sound really well, and it's very good. You know, it's a fun little amp, lots of big sounds. The little Elvis is very, very British sounding. Doesn't do the American thing very well at all because of EL84s. They just don't do that. They're little bitty tubes, and they're very mid-range focused. That didn't look good on camera, did it? I will wish Miles a happy birthday. I think his birthday was yesterday or the day before. Huh? So I was at the Eagles rehearsal yesterday, and Joe never got to open his box on his producer yet, so I don't know what to tell you. Where Lola places, what amp McCready using on the Pearl Jam video you liked? Oh, that's an Empire. Yep, McCready has an Empire head. I think he has one of our 212s, but I'm not sure if he uses it on the tour or not. He likes that old Savage cabinet that he has. He's friends with the Savage guys. And he's been playing that head, playing that cabinet for 15, 18 years, I think. So kind of stuck with that. Very cool. So anyway, just to close the loop at Sweetwater, I went there and did this trade show and shot a bunch of videos, as some of you guys have pointed out already. And they've sold through their stock once a week. They've sold more amps. Excuse me. I'm exhausted, as you can tell. They've sold more amps in 3 weeks than a lot of my dealers do in a year. Most of my dealers do in a year. It's pretty incredible. Steve Kirk says, can you guys hook me up with a MM Red power cable for my Elvis? Yeah, sure. That's no problem. I'll take care of you, Steve. It's all good. I just realized I have not had any. Oh, I did have one cup of coffee where I got my hair cut this morning. So, recommendations for speaker cables. You know, there's a bunch of good ones out there. You can really go overkill on cables. It's really all about the ends, you know, and how those are done. I'm sorry, Rock and Roll Willie. I never answered your question. Bob Britt plays a London. That's what he's playing with Fogarty. I missed that question earlier. I apologize. Bob's a good friend of mine, too. I love Bob. You know, my speaker cables that I use, I buy everything from Brian Mendes at Colossal Cable. I just can't break his cables. They sound great, too. And he's literally got some secret sauce he puts in the end to get all the oxygen out. Oh, thank you, guys. Yeah, Bob's a good player. Bob's tasty. I mean, he'd sound good through any amp, but we're very honored that he's using our stuff. City of Shred. Tom gives a nice little miking tip from the road here. If you're looking for that SM57 thing on your guitar amps without that sort of swishy, phasey sound the 57 gives, yeah, that's one of the things I don't like about it. Try the SM7. It's everything you like about a 57 without everything you hate. Yeah, the 57 for me does all that overshoot. You know, the diaphragm is so small. Chad Williams says, I need to get an amp that has a fender clean for modern country. Recommendations. Low wattage with a lot of headroom. Well, you don't get low wattage and a lot of headroom. Those two things don't exist in one amp, Chad. I'm sorry to tell you. That's like saying I want a really cheap car with a tiny engine that has 700 horsepower. Or, you know, I want a 700 horsepower car that gets 40 miles per gallon. It just doesn't happen. However, having said that, God, I'm tired, guys. I really apologize. The most, if you want classic country sound, is going to be the Tupelo on the lower powered or the Producer 6L on the higher powered stuff. So those are your two best choices for that. Let's see. Could you suggest when to look for them HP Soho again in stores? Hopefully by the end of the year. You can special order one if you want. It just takes a while to make for us. Palin Blue says, try a Cascade Fathead. Yeah, I like those. Cheap ribbon that sounds really good. Jumbo shrimp. Right, exactly. Palin Blue got censored. What did you type? City of Shred gives more good advice from the road here. Ribbons are great, but their inherent figure 8 pattern is rough on a loud stage. And you do work on a loud stage. I can't use them. Too much ambient junk coming in the back. The URL for Cascade here. Let me turn on links. I have to allow that. Palin Blue. Let me do that. Okay, yeah, try it. Keith Urban plays really loud on stage. Like Jimi Hendrix at Woodstock loud on stage. And there's also a lot of... I got to make myself comfortable here, guys. Sorry. There's a lot of... there's a lot of noise on that stage beyond Keith. And plus, he's the lead singer. Are there ribbons that don't have a figure 8 pattern, though? Dr. Kelso says, sorry, noob question. What is your red line? No, that's why we're here, Dr. Kelso. Don't worry, you're amongst friends. It's okay. The red line is for all intents and purposes, 98% the same as our blue line. There's two differences between them. One is we use machine wound transformers instead of hand wound transformers on them, and the other is the cabinets are a little simpler, and we do that just to save money. The machine wound transformers are what in most of your boutique amps anyway. Even some $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 boutique amps, they're using machine wound transformers. It's just that hand wound ones cost about 5 times as much. So, Spinal Tap, is Urban still using your stuff or the high watts? No, Keith's moved on from high watts. Keith changes his gear a lot. He's a gear hound. I think we set the record with Keith. He used our gear for about 18 months. And from what the guys on his crew tell me, that's a world record for Keith. Keith, Tom, back me up here. I think Keith is playing a Dumble combo now alongside what looks to be a Tweed era twin. The last time I saw his rig, he was playing on the CMAs with Little Big Town, who are one of our customers. And the guy in Little Big Town had a Tupelo on stage next to Keith's rig. And a lot of people, Dumble combo, 57 twin, and a JC 120. Wow. That Jazz Chorus 120 is an interesting choice. I'm assuming he's using that for clean. That's a nice rig, though. The Dumble and the 57 twin. I love 57 twins. Ah, the JC120 is his pure amp. I gotcha. That's cool. Yeah, Keith's a good player. And he's a gear nut. He's always buying gear. And he buys good stuff. He buys really good stuff. Yeah, he was playing the Royal Alberts, and we went through this period with KT-77s where I couldn't get any good ones. So he and Rich Robinson with the Black Crows and Vince Gill and other guys, their KT-77s started going bad. So a lot of those guys, I recommended they pull the amp from the tour. And because it just wasn't. Welcome to tube hell. That's what my life is tube hell. It's absolute tube hell. So I'd rather stay on good terms with these guys and do future business with them. The 57 twin is the best of the bunch. I'm not surprised at all. Those are such fantastic amps. Somebody here was speculating whether Keith got his Dumble from John Mayer. I don't know. I know they're acquaintances and good friends, so could be. What was the Royal Albert like? It was sort of a low gain, big bottle thing. It was kind of inspired. I had a 63 Selmer treble and bass. John Pittman, I'll answer that question here in a second because I have the answer for you. Now I can't remember what I was saying. Oh, the Royal Albert. And so I ran it with KT-77s, which is a really good sounding tube. And so it was kind of like a British Fender, if that makes sense. It straddled the fence between American and British sounds really well. And Keith played the hell out of it. And he had 6 of them. And the tube started to get wonky, and there wasn't anything I could do about it. So he had to make a different choice. Yeah, it's a really cool amp. I'd like to redo it. That's one I'd like to redo with high current, low voltage. And because I think those 77s would be fine at that voltage. That was the problem, is they can't take voltage anymore. And we weren't even running them super hot. They were failing all the time. So John Pittman says, Jared from Saturday Night Live puts his cabin to an ISO box. Do you remember how you mic that? It sounds so good. Yeah, that is a Sennheiser 609. Just hanging in front of the cabinet. That's all it is. It's an Alnico Gold that he's using in that 112 cabinet, which is a fantastic speaker, especially in a 112. It works great. But that's a Sennheiser 609. That's it. It's very simple. I mean, they've got a really nice board at Saturday Night Live. I can't remember what kind it is, but I think it's a, $1 million board. Tom says, I had one of Keith's Alberts at my house for a week that cranked up with a Klon in front. It was devastating. Yeah, it's a good amp. I really like it. And I know Keith liked it too. It was just we had to be practical with it. And he called me and apologized. He was really nice about it. And it was fine. If the tubes are blowing, the tubes are blowing. There's nothing I can do. Greg Frosch says, an interesting inquiry, but have you guys ever considered a shelf like the old Stage 185? I'm not sure what you're asking there, Greg. Could you elaborate a little bit? What's the difference between the blue and the gold? The gold's a little warmer sounding. The blue's a little more articulate. It's got a thinner voice coil and a thinner cone than the gold, so it's a little brighter, a little more articulate. The gold has a big warm sound to it. It's really lovely warm sound. You can hear it with Jared. I mean, on Saturday Night Live. It'll still do plenty of treble, but it's such a warm speaker that you can push the treble really hard and it doesn't get obnoxious at all. Alnico Gold versus G12H30. Well, the biggest difference is price, of course. The Alnico Gold is what I was just describing. The G12H30 is a ceramic magnet. And it's very low lows and very high highs. It's a very full range speaker. It's a fantastic speaker. I think it's by far the best ceramic speaker that Celestion makes. Very, very happy with it. Also extremely consistent. We do have a sample here of the Creamback H that I haven't had a chance to play yet. Celestion just sent over. Oh, cool. City of Shred says Keith and Brian Nutter are both using WGS speakers. Excellent. I don't have a lot of experience with them. They're just kind of small for us doing production. I know everyone really likes them. So that's cool. I know Keith's a big gear nut. He's always going through stuff. It's very cool. Very, very nice. Very, very nice. So someone was asking about the green line. Well, the basic premise that I'm working with right now on the green line is I want to make printed circuit board amps that are equally as good or possibly indecipherable from hand-wired amps. Okay, Greg, I see what you're saying. I'll get to you in a sec. So it's military-style printed circuit boards, not the cheapo ones. And I think the future of tube amps is going to be kind of what we're doing with the Producer. That future might not be here for 5 years or more, but I think it is the future. And I also want to make a lot of the things that we do accessible to the mainstream. Because right now, building them one by one handmade is very expensive and time-consuming. And part of the reason we can't sell any more amps is because we can't make them fast enough. And we've been on back order for 8 years, which is a good problem. And most people are going, oh, gee, Dan, that's really tough. But after a while of being on back order, what you start realizing is you're not making as much money as you could. And the money is what funds all this research and development and lets me hire another builder, lets me pay for more parts, let me, do things that I should be doing to make the amps accessible to people. So you got to sort of face that at some point. And we want to face it in a graceful way. I've seen a lot of companies just, we're going to send it to China and do half-ounce, 1-ounce traces on the board and poo-poo parts. Actually, the boards made in China are probably fine. You can make whatever kind of board you want there. It's the board parts that really make a difference. I mean, copper trace is a copper trace, I think. I don't know. Excuse me. Ugh. Sorry. I'm so exhausted. I apologize. Tom, good question. We should probably talk about that offline. I'm only working from the assumption they can make good circuit boards in China because they make Apple computers in China, and they're fine. So I think it's safe to assume. Greg, I'm not sure. I don't have experience with the Fender amps that you're talking about. Mid boosts and cuts, that's easy to do with switches and capacitors. Yeah, the way our amps are, we kind of voice them straight up your nose. And they're not super crazy when it comes to the tone stacks. But it's also hard to do with a hand-wired amp. When we start doing printed circuit boards, I can add a lot more feature functionality to the amp without raising prices. When you put in complex stuff on a hand-wired amp, you're talking hours and hours of labor, which adds up. It adds up really fast. You can kind of think for every dollar that it adds to the build cost, it adds $3 to the retail price. Because I don't sell them retail, I sell them wholesale, remember. So I sell them to dealers for less than retail price, and they have to make money on it too. So it's kind of not intellectually correct to look at the parts cost of an amp and translate that to a retail cost. There's a lot more to it. There's, of course, the labor, but then there's overhead of running a business. I mean, we have state taxes and the insurance to people get hurt, your liability insurance, workers' comp, and I have to pay the Board of Equalization for state tax, sales tax, all those sorts of things. So when we get into doing printed circuit boards, we have a lot of flexibility. But it takes a lot of design time to get those right. McSex Stooges 5 says, what about a green line Elvis with a bump and a master voltage but no trim? Yeah, everything's on the table with the green line stuff. Nothing is out of the conversation. We've talked about maybe doing a green line producer just because the producer's getting a lot of traction. Incorporate in South Dakota. Well, there's some challenges to doing that. I need, the music business is here. I need to be around the music business. And hi, Josh. Welcome. We're in the belly of the beast here. And I need to be around the music business, and I need to have a labor pool that's pretty available and flexible, which we have here. It's kind of hard to find master builders unless you're in LA or New York. That's why you see most of the amp companies that aren't in LA or New York, it's the guy making his own amps, which is very limiting. It's a very limiting thing. And usually, the guys that I hire are way better builders than I am, even though I can build fine. It's, like our head builder, military training, 20-odd years of experience. He's amazing. I could never build to his level, although I can build well. Not really. My building looks like hell compared to his. And what takes me 4 days to build, he can build in 6 hours. And it looks way better. Hi, Peter. Welcome back. No, Mike's not our head builder. Mike's our head engineer. He techs all the amps. Carlos is our head builder, and he's amazing. Astonish. Where Lola plays says, I love the green line idea. Give us people in Wisconsin a chance to see. Well, that's the thing. You're nailing it right there, Lola. And I don't know why this is, but most guys that end up making printed circuit board amps end up just going for this really low build quality thing. Which, there's some amps that have fantastic circuits, but they're just made with poo-poo parts. And so we just kind of want to do it where we're going to give you a real amp that's a keeper. Sounds great. Has a warranty on it. All those things. Gear for you, Blake. No updates there. Everything's kind of on pause with that right now because I've been so busy making amps. I know there's a lot of you guys very interested in 65 glass, and it's just on hold right now. I don't have a minute free. And so I had a bunch of guys teed up to start doing work, and we're just going to hold it for a little bit. But it's happening. Don't worry. Everything is good. But anyway, so that's what my idea is with the green line. I want to make something that's viable. And it's always seemed strange to me that people don't do this. I don't know why it is. I've done cost rundown, and it's not that bad. I mean, I can make a pretty strong printed circuit board amp with traces so big that it's just as much or more wire than what's in the wire we use in the hand-wired amp. So just as much copper, I mean. And many of you know I made a printed circuit board version of the London Pro with heavy traces on it. I couldn't tell the difference. It sounded great. Where Lola played says, my Stone Pony kills both bands I'm in because it's too loud. But my guys I play with don't have my desire for sound, hence green line. Yeah, I think the green line will be really practical. And thanks, Greg. Well, I hope so. We're lucky that we're the size we are, we can make wholesale decisions like this. Most companies are already doing massive production overseas, and they couldn't change tack right now. So it's not going to take business away from Fender or any of those guys. But it's just a different thing. And so I think it'll be a welcome thing in the market. They're not going to be dirt cheap. I mean, they're still going to be $1,000 or $1,000 to $1,500. But you'll feel comfortable spending the money. We're not going to make $599 amps. I mean, I can make little tiny things for fun, I guess. But they'll be worth it. You'll feel like it's a bargain for $1,000 is what I'm going for. But it'd also be a long-term amp that you can keep, and won't fall apart, rattle apart, all of those sorts of things. But that's realistically probably a year away. King Darko asks a good question. Did you test at what size copper trace the sound starts to suffer? Not specifically, just comparing different amps that are made with different traces. We did a couple different size traces here, and I could tell a little difference, but not much. Anything over 2 ounces seems to be diminishing returns, where it's not really noticeably different. And then you got to understand, with the 4-ounce trace, it's really thick. I mean, it's like that thick. And it really limits how much circuitry you can put on the board. So I don't use orange drops, Greg. That's one of my least favorite capacitors. So we'll probably go with 2 to 3 ounce traces, so we can still put some stuff on the board and the sound will be great. A 2 ounce trace has the same amount of copper that the wire does that I use, so it should be the same. I'm sorry. Oh, pardon me. It's not you, it's me, I swear. Greg, there's only one coupling capacitor that I use. I use Sozos. Those are my favorites. Hi, Stratocaster Mojo. Welcome back. I'm recovering from another trip to Sweetwater. My voice is thrashed, and so am I. I'm extremely thrashed. We were just talking about capacitors. Oh, yeah, that's right. Blake is here from Gearphoria. He did the interview. He saw the London Pro prototype. You got to see the big traces. It's all the same caps. You know, we use the Vichy Dale resistors, the Allen Bradley resistors, Sozo caps, same trannies, you know, everything. It's all the same stuff. It's just that it's on a board. I apologize, guys. It's been a rough week for me. And guys, I might call in here early. I kind of got to get out of here shortly after 1. But I know it's been a low-key show. I apologize. I wanted to let you know how Sweetwater went and just pass on to you guys how much I really like Sweetwater. And I think they'll treat you with respect, knowledge, and kindness. I got to see it firsthand. And I saw a lot of my good friends, our buddies over at Diodario, shared with me all their new strings, the balanced tension strings and their new coated acoustic strings, which are fantastic. Hopefully I'll be able to show them to you here soon. They gave me a bunch of sets. They're really generous. And I tried them. That balanced tension thing feels really good. If you guys, anybody tried those balanced tension strings that Diodario has? They're nickel wound, but they adjust the gauges a little bit. And they're these. And I think, Rick, you sent me some of these, didn't you? It's the talking string head. Why don't you guys try these and tell me what you think? I mean, they're not expensive. They're the same price as all the Diodarios. But the gauges are kind of weird. It's like 10, 13.5, 17, 25, 34, and 46. It's a little different than the normal sets. And it feels really cool. Your hand kind of relaxes on it. So I was there, and Brent Mason was there in the booth speccing out his own custom set. He's been working with him. It was cool. Yeah, I saw a lot of cool people there. Brent Mason was one. He was there with Paul Reed Smith. Pelham Blue says, I can't ruin my 50s and 60s guitars by changing strings. Peter, the Netherlands, Sweetwater won't ship to the Netherlands. You got to go through Eric van der Haar there. Do I know who played show on the guitar? I don't know. I'm sorry. Probably one of the fantastic studio players here in LA, which there's a lot of amazing guys. Yeah, PRS was energetic as usual. I'm sure a passionate guy. Yeah, Paul's always lively. Paul's always very lively. So, anyway, anything else you guys want to cover while I'm here? Van der Haar guitars, yeah. Sweetwater can't ship into the Netherlands. Netherlands is a protected territory. Doesn't Eugene Edwards live in I don't know. It's a big city. Tom, thanks for dropping by. Yeah, let's talk soon. Tell everybody hi on the Keith Tour. Tell Danny especially. 212 horizontal versus vertical. I don't really have an opinion there. I always like horizontal. So I like having the amp down low like that. McSex Sigis 5. Are the Redline cabs the same, made exactly as they were before you moved? They're actually better now. They're actually a little better. New York, New York. I don't know who that is.
York and why? Call from York and why?
What is my take? Sorry about that.
Call from
Stop.
York.
What is my take on ohms on cabs? I always think 16 sounds the best because you're using the whole output transformer. So you get more detail, more dynamic range. I always think that's the best. 65 pedals, amp switcher. Yeah, we're going to start making the color boost again. But we're just too busy making amps. It's a good problem to have. First green line model. I'm not sure. There's a lot of debate about that. Oh, excuse me. I'm not sure. We're still working it out. Honestly, we're just so busy right now. The blue and the red line stuff is doing so good that we're not quite sure what to do. It takes a lot of money to get those into production initially. So we have to be very careful about how we do that. But, Hagen, what speaker would I recommend for punch and clarity and playing progressive rock metal? I don't know. You're asking the wrong guy. That's not me at all. I don't have any experience with that. I know the Vintage 30 seems to be the one that most guys use. Dr. Kelso. Yeah, both Soho sound great at low volume. They both have the master voltage on them, so. Yeah, Sweetwater needs more amps. We got another nice order from them, so. So, okay, guys, I'm kind of do a last call here. Again, sorry for the subdued show. It's my fault. Let's see if we can get a little more pep going next week. Good to see you guys, too. I really appreciate it. Blake, thanks for dropping by. All you guys. And a nice big crowd here today. Why not a new model for the green line? Well, that's one of the things we're discussing. Because it's easier to put more features on. So we were all distant today. Thank you so much for the advice on the Sozos. Yeah, sure, man. Sing it hard, sing it well, take care. Later, pimpin'. 'Twas truly a lovely show, R.J. Sanders. Thank you. I appreciate that. I do my best, even when I'm wiped out. I will take it easy. I'm going to get some sleep. Thank you, Spinal Tap, Dr. Kelso. Where Lola played, King Darko. Great to see all you guys. And I'll catch you next week. All righty, fellas. Take care.